On the morning of April 20, 2012, in the quiet Brisbane suburb of Brookfield, a husband picked up the phone and dialed 000. At around 7:15 a.m., Gerard Baden-Clay reported his wife missing. Her name was Allison Baden-Clay, a devoted mother of three, known for her kindness, her professionalism, and her deep love for her daughters. She was the type of woman who never let people down, and never simply vanished without a word. Gerard told police that Allison sometimes went for early morning walks. Her exercise clothes were gone, which seemed to fit that story. But when she didn't return in time for the girls' breakfast, something she always did, alarm bells began to ring. Within days, the search for Allison would take a devastating turn. What began as a desperate hunt for a missing wife and mother soon unraveled into a shocking story of infidelity, betrayal, and ultimately, murder. Welcome to InsightWave, the channel that delves into both solved and unsolved cases from around the world. If you haven't already, please take a moment to like and subscribe to stay up to date with the latest crime stories delivered straight to your inbox. Allison Baden-Clay was born Allison Dickey in 1968. She grew up about 40 kilometers east of Brisbane, in the city of Ipswich, a community once considered as a potential capital of Queensland. Ipswich sat between the bustling coastal city of Brisbane and the quieter rural inland, shaping Allison's early world with both suburban stability and country values. Her parents, Jeff, a firefighter, and Priscilla, a school librarian, were lifelong locals who raised their children with strong community ties and traditional hardworking values. Allison was the middle child, with an older sister and a younger brother. From a young age, Allison showed exceptional talent and dedication as a ballerina. At just 10 years old, she was dancing with the Australian Youth Ballet Company, traveling across the country for performances. Though reserved and sensitive by nature, she found confidence on stage, pouring her heart into her dancing. At age 12, she even traveled to the United Kingdom to pursue her ballet training. But behind the determination lay a shy girl, often plagued by self-doubt and anxiety about whether she was good enough to succeed. Her quiet resilience came from her father, while her determination mirrored her mother's strength. That resilience was tested when, at just 15, Allison was dropped from her ballet school. The life she had envisioned was suddenly gone. Outwardly, she remained stoic, but the disappointment cut deep. With the unwavering support of her close-knit family and school friends, she found a way through. Having had a taste of travel and independence, Allison spent her early adult years exploring the world. She worked across Europe and later spent a year in Japan, teaching English and becoming fluent in Japanese. By her early 20s, she had earned an arts degree with a major in psychology, and she could speak up to 6 languages at varying levels of proficiency. At just 22, Allison was described by friends as independent, laid back, and always smiling. She soon fell in love with a young man she met on Heron Island, and the pair moved back to Ipswich together, purchasing a home in 1993. But as her passion for ballet faded, so too did her engagement. The relationship ended amicably, and Allison began to look ahead to new possibilities. That same year, she entered the Miss Brisbane pageant. Missing the spotlight of her ballet years, she saw it as something fun to try, and to her delight, she won. She later competed in Miss Queensland. Although she didn't take the crown, Allison embraced the experience, seeing it as another chapter in her journey of self-discovery. In the mid-1990s, Allison's life took another turn. She met Gerard Baden-Clay, a man who, on the surface, seemed ambitious and charismatic. Gerard had been born in Ipswich in 1970 and came from a family with deep ties to Queensland. His relatives were well known in certain circles, with connections stretching back to prominent early settlers. Gerard carried himself with the confidence of someone determined to make a mark in both business and society. He studied business at university and later pursued a career in real estate, drawn to the promise of financial success and social standing. Allison and Gerard's relationship developed quickly. They married in 1997, and soon after, the couple settled into suburban family life. Gerard established his own real estate business, the Century 21 West Side franchise, while Allison supported him as a partner both at home and in the business. She was admired for her warmth, intelligence, and reliability, traits that complemented Gerard's more outwardly driven personality. Together, they had 3 daughters, who became the center of Allison's world. Friends and family remembered her as a devoted mother, always gentle and patient, the type of parent who placed her children's needs above all else. From the outside, the Baden-Clays appeared to be a model family, a successful husband, a loving wife, 3 healthy children, and a thriving business. But behind the polished image, pressures were mounting. Gerard's business faced financial strain, his ambitions often outpaced reality, and cracks in the marriage began to show. While Allison continued to be the steady heart of the family, Gerard's restless pursuit of success, and his inability to remain faithful, would set in motion a tragic chain of events that no one could have foreseen. As the years went on, the polished image of the Baden-Clay family began to falter. What had once looked like a picture-perfect suburban life slowly revealed its cracks. Gerard's real estate business was not as successful as he had hoped. By the late 2000s, his financial situation was dire, mounting debts, unpaid loans, and increasing pressure to maintain the image of success. Behind the closed doors of their Brookfield home, money troubles became a constant source of stress. For Allison, the situation was made even harder by Gerard's personal choices. In 2008, Gerard began an affair with a woman named Toni McHugh, a colleague in his real estate office. The affair carried on for years in secret, lasting more than 3 years before Allison finally found out. Allison discovered the truth in 2009, when she intercepted emails between the two. The betrayal devastated her. Friends recalled how shaken she was, how her once bright confidence seemed to fade as she tried to make sense of her husband's double life. Still, Allison fought to keep her family together. She agreed to attend marriage counseling, determined to repair what had been broken. Those close to her described her as resilient, quietly strong, and deeply committed to her daughters. She believed in the sanctity of marriage and wanted her children to grow up with stability. Gerard, however, struggled to let go of Toni. The affair continued in bursts, starting and stopping, with Gerard making conflicting promises. To Toni, he claimed he would one day leave his wife. To Allison, he said he wanted to rebuild their marriage. This web of deceit deepened the tension within the Baden-Clay household. By 2012, the pressure was at breaking point. Gerard's business was collapsing under debt, his marriage was hanging by a thread, and his mistress was demanding clarity about their future. Allison, meanwhile, was focusing on self-improvement, attending personal development seminars, re-engaging with her community, and working to rebuild her confidence.
Go ahead, Telstra.
253960.
Thank you. Police emergency. What's your location?
Hi, good morning, Brookfield.
Whereabouts in Brookfield, sir?
593 Brookfield Road, Brookfield.
And what's happening there?
I don't want to be alarmist. I tried the 131 number, but just went on forever.
Yeah.
My wife isn't home. I don't know where she is.
Okay. When did you last see her, sir?
Last night when we went to bed, when I went to bed, and I got up this morning and she wasn't there, and that's not unusual. She often goes for a walk in the morning.
Yep.
I've texted her and called her a number of times. I think she has her phone with her.
Yep.
And
what time does she normally get back when she goes for a walk?
This morning she was planning to. She has a seminar in the city, so she was planning to leave by around 7. And,
okay.
She's not back home yet.
Okay. All right. And what's your wife?
I'm now driving the streets. My father's come over and to look after my children.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your name first of all?
I'm sorry. Gerard, Gerard.
And your last name, Gerard?
Baden-Clay, Baden.
Yep.
-Clay.
And what's your wife's name?
Allison with 2 L's.
And same surname? Okay. And how old is Allison?
44.
Okay, so you didn't see her before she got up this morning, so...
No.
Okay, all right. And what's her mobile number?
0401.
Yep.
149.
Yep.
013.
013, okay. All right, and how tall is your wife?
About 5'6", something like that, I think.
Okay, and what colour hair has she got?
We've got it done last night. It's sort of a blondie, brownie, reddish sort of thing.
Yep, and how long is it?
Shoulder length.
Shoulder length? Okay. What I'll do, I'm going to put a broadcast on for the police to keep a lookout for your wife. Are you going to go back home? Because we'll get police to come and see you.
I need to go home.
Yeah.
The kid's ready.
Yep. All right, Gerard. I'll get police to come and see you, okay? What's the best contact number for you?
0400.
Yep.
456.
Yep. Okay, just give us a call back if she hasn't returned before police get there, okay? All right. Thanks, Gerard. Bye-bye.
What you've just heard was Gerard reporting his wife missing. He told police that Allison had gone out for an early morning walk and never returned. He claimed her exercise clothes were gone, and that by breakfast time, she was still missing. When officers arrived at the Baden-Clay home, Allison's car was in the driveway. Her phone was off. And her 3 daughters were still inside the house, waiting for their mother. From the very start, things didn't sit right. Friends and family said Allison was reliable, structured, never the type to vanish without warning. And when police looked at Gerard more closely, they couldn't ignore the fresh scratches on his face. He brushed them off as shaving cuts, but investigators weren't convinced. The search for Allison began that very day and quickly grew into one of the largest in Queensland's history. Hundreds of police, SES volunteers, and local residents joined forces to comb through the thick bushland, waterways, and walking tracks around Brookfield. Search parties gathered daily at the local showgrounds, where officers coordinated grids and checked off each section of terrain. Teams waded through creeks, trudged through dense scrub, and used helicopters to scan from above. Police divers were brought in to search the murky waters of nearby rivers. Friends and family clung to hope. Posters bearing Allison's smiling face were pinned up across Brisbane. Neighbors left ribbons and flowers near the Baden-Clay home. Strangers turned out in high-vis vests and gumboots, determined to help bring the mother of 3 back safely. Detectives publicly described Allison as a woman who never missed appointments and wouldn't just disappear. Each passing day made that hope harder to hold on to. Rain hampered parts of the search, and the vast bushland stretched for miles. Police warned the family they had to prepare for every outcome, but Allison's loved ones refused to give up. Gerard briefly spoke with the media outside of his parents' home.
Evening, the husband of a woman who mysteriously disappeared from her Kenmore home last Thursday night has broken his silence to 9 News.
The hunt for Allison Baden-Clay has intensified, with police now searching industrial garbage bins for evidence.
Coming out of his parents' home, the pain and strain of the last 5 days was clear to see across Gerard Baden-Clay's face.
I'm trying to look after my children at the moment. They've got 3 young girls, and we really trust that the police are doing everything they can to find my wife, and we just hope that she'll come home soon.
9 News understands Mr Baden-Clay has hired lawyers and has been in regular contact with detectives.
I've spoken to the police about everything, and I've had no contact from her at all.
Allison disappeared last Thursday night and hasn't been seen or heard from since. Her mobile phone is also missing and her bank account has been untouched.
Was she upset before she went away?
No, and the police, I've tried to help the police as much as I can, and we all have, and everything we've got, so thank you, I'm sorry.
The family car has been impounded and is undergoing scientific examination. But Mr Baden-Clay was behind the wheel of a friend's car when he lost control of it on Sunday, crashing into a pole outside the Indooroopilly shopping centre. The well-known real estate agent spent time in hospital.
I was hurt a little bit, but I'm okay.
The search for Allison has now intensified around Brookfield and expanded to include Kenmore Hills, Pullen Vale and Bellbowrie. Property owners have again been asked to check their own land.
We just appeal to the public to please help us in any way that they can.
It's not just bushland near the family's home police have been searching. They've moved into shopping centres, searching industrial bins for any evidence the mother of three has been murdered.
We've got such great family support, my sister and my family here, and they're looking after her.
We need to find her.
Now, police remain optimistic and are still officially treating this as a missing persons case. However, they'll be out in force tomorrow searching again, despite it being a public holiday. And more than 100 officers and SES will be scouring the area then.
Alicia, thank you.
Then, on the morning of April 30th, 2012, 10 days after she vanished, a canoeist paddling along Kimaha Creek at Anstead, around 14 kilometers from Brookfield, spotted something on the muddy bank. It was Allison's body. The heartbreaking discovery ended the search, but it opened a darker chapter. This was no longer a missing persons case, it was a homicide investigation. And detective suspicions were already beginning to focus on the man who had made that emergency call. With the discovery of Allison's body, the case shifted dramatically. Detectives from the Homicide Investigation Unit took charge, and the Baden-Clay home became the focus of forensic scrutiny. From the very beginning, suspicion was hard to ignore. When police first spoke to Gerard, they had noticed the fresh scratches across his right cheek. He insisted they were shaving cuts. But investigators, and later forensic experts, thought otherwise. The marks were jagged, irregular, and deep enough to raise serious doubts. Detectives also uncovered that Allison's marriage was far from perfect. Through interviews with friends, family, and colleagues, the truth about Gerard's long-running affair with Toni McHugh came out. Toni admitted that Gerard had promised to leave his wife for her, and that April 20th, the very day Allison went missing, was supposed to be the start of their new life together. As one officer later put it, Gerard was living in two worlds. And both of them were on the verge of collapsing. Meanwhile, forensic teams searched the family home. In Allison's car, they found leaves and plant matter that matched species growing near where her body was discovered. Police dogs picked up her scent in the vehicle, suggesting she had been inside it not long before her death. Phone records told another damning story. Gerard's mobile activity on the night of April 19th and the morning of April 20th showed unusual gaps, as if deliberately left silent. His financial records also revealed he was under enormous pressure, drowning in debt, his business teetering on collapse. Detectives believed Gerard was desperate, cornered, and terrified of losing everything, his reputation, his business, and control of his carefully constructed image. Publicly, Gerard maintained his innocence. He attended Allison's funeral, stood before cameras, and appealed for privacy. But behind the scenes, police were building a case they were confident would end in his arrest. On the evening of June 13, 2012, police arrived at the Baden-Clay home. Gerard was arrested and charged with the murder of his wife, as well as interfering with a corpse. News crews captured the moment as he was taken into custody, a shocking fall for a man who had once been a respected businessman and family man in his community. Neighbors who had once joined the search for Allison were now stunned to learn that her husband, the man who had first raised the alarm, was accused of killing her. For Allison's family, the charges brought relief, but also heartbreak. The person they had trusted with her life was the very one accused of taking it. Gerard Baden-Clay now faced the justice system. And the trial that followed would expose, in painful detail, the lies, affairs, and desperation that led to Allison's tragic death. Gerard Baden-Clay's arrest shocked Queensland. The man who had once been seen as a polished family man and local businessman was now accused of murdering his wife. As the case moved to court, the public's attention fixed firmly on the trial that promised to reveal the truth. The proceedings began in June 2014 at the Brisbane Supreme Court. Over weeks of testimony, prosecutors laid out their case. Gerard, drowning in financial debt and trapped between his wife and mistress, had killed Allison in a fit of rage and desperation. The prosecution pointed to the scratches on Gerard's face as evidence of a violent struggle, suggesting Allison had clawed at him as she fought for her life. They highlighted the plant fragments in Allison's car, which matched vegetation from Colo Creek, tying Gerard to the disposal site. Phone records also played a central role, showing unusual gaps on the night of April 19 and morning of April 20, times investigators believed Gerard was covering his tracks. Key witnesses included Toni McHugh, Gerard's mistress, who testified about their long-running affair and his promises to leave Allison. She admitted she expected their relationship to go public on the very day Allison went missing. The prosecution argued this created a dangerous pressure point. Gerard was cornered, desperate, and ready to act. The defense, however, painted a different picture. Gerard's lawyers argued the scratches were self-inflicted shaving cuts. They claimed there was no direct evidence linking him to Allison's death, and that she may have fallen victim to misadventure during her morning walk. They insisted Gerard was a flawed man, unfaithful and financially unstable, but not a killer. For Allison's family, sitting through the details was agonizing. They listened as her private struggles, the affair, the counseling, her deep insecurities, were laid bare before the court. But they also heard about her resilience, her devotion to her children, and the quiet strength she carried even in the darkest times. After weeks of testimony and deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict on July 15, 2014. Gerard Baden-Clay was found guilty of murdering his wife Allison. The courtroom erupted in emotion, relief from Allison's family, shock from Gerard's supporters, and a sense that justice had been served. He was sentenced to life in prison, with a non-parole period of 15 years. But the story didn't end there. In 2015, Gerard appealed the conviction. In a controversial ruling, the Queensland Court of Appeal downgraded the verdict from murder to manslaughter, arguing that the evidence did not prove intent beyond reasonable doubt. The decision sparked outrage across the country. Allison's family, and the public, demanded the verdict be overturned. The case was taken to the High Court of Australia, which in August 2016 reinstated the murder conviction. Gerard Baden-Clay's life sentence for killing Allison was restored. For many, it was the final chapter in a long and painful journey for justice.